Make sure to subscribe to the podcast and to leave us a good review. The more reviews we get, the bigger our audience gets, and the bigger our audience gets, the better this podcast will become. Hey, Ricky, let us know ways people can get in touch with us.
Sure, Tim. We've got Twitter, which is @thirdpartyrep, R-E-P. We've got Instagram @thirdparty.repair. Facebook, facebook.com/thirdpartyrepair, and email thirdpartyrepair@gmail.com.
Okay, here we are again, back for the Third Party Repair podcast with your host, Tim McDonald, here in, what is it now, 9:30 p.m. in Australia, and I've got Ricky Baker on the other end currently. How you going, Ricky?
Not bad, Tim. It's just coming up to 1 p.m. here in the UK.
Lovely.
The weather is not as nice as last week. We've got rain this week, so the Ricky Baker UK weather forecast is rain today. How are things over there?
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. Well, I'm in the north of Australia here, as we've discussed before, and it's what we call the dry season, which just means it's hot and not raining, as opposed to the other half of the year it is hot and raining all the time. So yeah, this is a unique place of the world. It's very beautiful. Everyone should come and visit Darwin, Australia, if they ever eventually get to come back to Australia in the hopefully not so distant future. So do you want to, we should jump straight into this because we've got a guest on with us today. Do you want to maybe introduce and let us know what we're in for?
Yeah, sure. Today we have a guest joining us from the United States of America. It's our first USA guest. It is Mr. Brian Ahern, who represents Repairs First, which is a relatively new organisation in the USA. So, Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I wish I had the weather you guys had. For me, well, right now for me it's 7 a.m. my time. So I feel like I'm talking through minutes, should we say? Here for us, it's hot. Hot for us is 100 degrees. 98 yesterday. Heat index 105. I'm sure that Australia probably laughs at that temperature, but so that's spring for us. But for us, it's kind of warm. Hopefully, it'll subside here in a few days. But other than that, grass is going to start dying here for too long. So
cool. Whereabouts in the USA are you, Brian?
I'm right in the center of the United States. Basically, the Kansas City metropolitan area is where I'm at.
Oh, cool.
Lovely.
Cool.
This is the first time you and I have spoken, Brian. I'd love to know, in your own words, a bit about what you do.
Sure. Well, I've been in the service-related industry since approximately 2000. I was with an automotive group, Cotman and Amco franchise, to where transmission repair, automotive repair, and then in 2010, I was recruited by a different franchise, actually, CPR, cell phone repair. I joined them as their president of franchise operations, and then after we had sold the franchise in late 13, early 14. I then partnered up with a couple of gentlemen here in the Kansas City area, opened up 9 brick and mortar cell phone repair locations, and now that has transitioned over to Repairs First. Repairs First is basically what we do. We really, for the independent repair shops, we help them grow their locations. One of the biggest reasons I want to point out is why we formed Repairs First. And this industry made a really big change from about 10 to 13 to where pretty much anybody could open up a cell phone repair location. And we saw a lot of people that may have really good technical skills, but maybe didn't quite understand how to market and run their business. Since we've been doing this for 20 years, we decided to start our association to help them with buying power, technical support, operational support, basically everything they need to know how to do, whether it be employee help, hiring, human resources, marketing, you name it. We help them grow their business to be successful because we love to see young entrepreneurs be successful in the space.
Oh, that's cool. So you're sort of you supply the support and the guidance that a franchisee would expect from a franchise, but Repairs First isn't. It's not a franchise as franchises exist today. That's correct, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So anyone that becomes a member for you, they're not obliged to change their store branding to Repairs First. I mean, your stores that you've got yourself, are they branded as Repairs First, or do they have an independent name? Which is so they complete Repairs First is just an organisation that supports you and guides you.
That's correct. We don't. The only time I ever encourage someone to change their name or their URL would be if they have a name that just doesn't make sense for the industry to help with SEO. But no, it wouldn't be Repairs First. So no, Repairs First is not on anybody's doors. They obviously keep their own name and their own identity.
Right. Is there any other founders of Repairs First?
Yes, there are. Jeremy Kwiatkowski he's actually the original founder of the franchise that I just spoke of a minute ago, and Brad Broom. They're also the founders of Repairs First.
Okay.
We don't have CPR. I think it is in Australia. That still exists in the USA. I'm just for our audience, yeah.
It does, yes. But like I said, we're not affiliated with I'm not affiliated with the franchise anymore. And they're completely. In fact, they just recently got sold again to an insurance company. So they've gone their direction.
And is there any fundamental differences that you'd want to highlight between the organisation you were a part of and now Repairs First in general?
Fundamental differences. Well, if you're a part of a franchise, you're going to spend anywhere from $100,000 to even more just to be a part of the franchise, and then you're going to pay a royalty. They do provide technical support as we do. They do provide operational support, site placement, operations manuals, and whatnot as we do. And they are all under one flag, one banner name. So I think the biggest difference is that you with Repairs First, it's $69 a month, flat membership fee. That's it. You can pay annually of $600 a year if you choose. And you keep your own name. There's no royalties. And we're in it to literally help you grow and keep your brand identity in your area. So there's some similarities to a franchise, yes, but there's a lot of big differences as well.
Okay, I follow, Brian. I follow the franchises in the USA quite closely because I feel that what's happening in the USA market is perhaps 1 to 2 years ahead of what is going to happen around the world, including where I am, including where Tim is. Yeah. And I've seen the authorized networks. They've grown quite a lot, especially in the last couple of years, as things like the IRP program, as they've rolled out. Now, even though these networks have grown in the USA and they've become more established, more well-known, do you have any figures or any idea of the number of independent repair shops who are not subscribed to a franchise at the moment in comparison?
According to vendors that there's a couple different ways you can look it up. There's a government website that shows a number of a very low number. But when I speak with the vendors, the big vendors here in the U.S., the number that's been thrown around to me is approximately 20,000 repair shops in the U.S. Now, these are people also that might be a brick and mortar, or it might be somebody that is working out of their personal vehicle or a company vehicle. We call that a mobile repair. or it very well could be a computer shop that does repair on the side. Okay. Or it can be like a company, as an example, Batteries Plus Bulbs, that sells batteries and electronics and whatnot, that is also doing repair. It's not identified as a cell phone or electronics repair through government standards, to my knowledge. So I think that's why the government number is lower. So the number I would feel comfortable in saying is what collectively the vendors have told me, that they have right around 20,000, 23,000 in the U.S. alone. Of that, I, off the top of my head, because I know there's about 2,000. Let's just pad it a little bit high right now and say there's approximately 3,000, I believe, franchise locations across the U.S. So subtract that from the 23 or so. So comfortably, I would say 20,000 to 3,000. I might be off a little bit on that because the numbers stagger, but that's close enough.
So far more repair stores are not affiliated in R by the sound of it. That's quite clear from that number. That's 20,000 versus 3,000. Am I right there? Have I got that right?
That's correct. Yes. Now,
Sorry.
I might be off a little bit on those numbers, but that's
Sure.
close enough. There's largely, yes, more independent repair shops than there are franchise.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that is?
Yep.
A lot of reasons. I think some of it might have had to do with the cost that is associated to get into the franchise, but largely I believe it to be because, well, let me just back up. When the CPR franchise was initially started many years ago, okay, it was, you can't fix your phone. It's a throwaway, right? To where there really wasn't anybody out there repairing phones. And then we started, Jeremy started the CPR franchise. Then we grew up to 300 plus locations in the US. And then there are, a lot of they started popping up out there, cell phone repair. They saw there was a viable industry. And then since it was very, very new, there really wasn't a training manual to how to repair a device or whatnot. So a lot of it was OJT. Then I believe that we saw, the employees that were working there, the technicians, that were working there, and saw that the market was strong, and so they might have left and opened up their own location. I believe that's how it boomed up so quick. Is employees working for people in the industry left the people in the industry and opened up their own repair shop, because it really grew up from the information that I had right around 2011 to 2015 is when we had our biggest growth spurt. If I got my dates correct, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that to be accurate.
Cool. So but I mean, my maths on that, Brian, are from 23,000, 20,000 independents. That makes roughly 86, 87% of repair stores in the USA are independent repairers. They're not affiliated with any franchise. So for any of the independent repair stores at the moment that are watching the news of our industry, and they're seeing the bigger franchise names get thrown around, and they're seeing insurance companies buy them, and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get left out here, that type of thing. It really isn't as cut and dry as that, is it? Because they're in the majority, very large majority of them are like that, and they might be looking at it thinking, cool, I could sign up to a franchise, I could do that, but in reality, all they're really looking for is some support and guidance, just to sort of steady the ship a little bit as our market continues to grow, as it does.
Yes, yeah, I and there's more of them opening up regularly. And we lost some during this pandemic, unfortunately, but there are also some franchise locations that got lost also during the pandemic. But they're not alone. I mean, there are a lot more independent repair out here in the U.S. than there are franchise. And for some people, they may want to join a franchise, but largely there's many more people out there that are operating their business without having to become a part of a franchise, and they're not going to get left behind. I mean, they've already dominated the industry already. They've already done a pretty good job with it.
So those figures there, that's really quite astounding. It does just make me think, Tim, with what we've spoken before in previous episodes, if those 86 or 87% of independent third-party repairs, which they weren't subscribed to franchise processes and they weren't subscribed to OEM processes, if they just purely didn't exist, especially right now with the virus, if they just didn't exist, it really does make me wonder what the landscape of repair for down the authorized channels would look like. I mean, I just don't see how they'd be able to sustain it with the customer base that they've got. But with that in mind, Brian, you've got 86 or 87% of the repairers there are independent. Who can apply to be a Repairs First member? Is it just that 86 to 87% of independent repair shops in the USA?
Largely, we focus directly on the independent repair shops. Yes, all the marketing efforts that we have, we go for the independent repair shops. There's a quick application process, but it doesn't really matter for us if they've been in the industry for 10 years or if they say, I have a dream, I want to open up a cell phone repair location. So we have members in all different levels. We had a new member just sign up just the other day that he doesn't even have a business license yet. And I'm walking him through the process to get the business license, to get his account set up, to pick the right location. I mean, he has the dream, he has the vision. He just needs the knowledge on how to do it. And then I've got him connected with a couple of different trainers for the basic training on cell phone repair, not advanced, but basic training on how to get into the industry and then how to grow. So pretty much, yes, any independent is more than welcome to apply. I usually speak with them for about 30 to 45 minutes just to make sure that everything is going to be a good fit for both sides. And then they come on board.
And so as far as screening goes, I mean, just if you just go a bit more detailed there, is there much screening for example, what sort of things would you reject anyone? And if you did, on what grounds would you be, and how strict you are with that sort of stuff?
I really wouldn't say that I would reject anyone per se. If they're willing to learn and if they're willing to as an example, I had one person join recently and he doesn't even have a business license. He's operating for cash. And I said, listen, I really can't support that. I mean, let's show you how to do it the right way. And so obviously he agreed. Now, does he have to send me a copy of his business license? No, I don't require that. But I did at least coach him to go along the right way. We have because we're able to provide really large discounts on parts and credit card processing and whatnot like that. And that's, one of the attractants that people want to join is just because we're able to secure those discounts from these vendors.
One thing that I feel is a challenge in our industry is communicating to customers, and then also just the logistics behind gaining access to quality components, as well as technicians can vary in their know-how and how not only in how well they can troubleshoot and diagnose faults and then, isolate components and replace those components effectively, but also just being able to provide a good standard and quality of job. We all know what it's like to open a phone that's been repaired by someone else before, and quite astounded as to the level of workmanship inside. And I'm a big proponent of some sort of way forward where independent repair can be hold itself accountable for these kinds of things. I might be completely off topic here, and tell me if I am, but is there anything inside the scope of Repairs First that sort of keeps that in mind?
Yes. I can't I don't have the details as of yet. We have had internal discussions, and I would say in the last 3 weeks of building a standard operation that we can qualify the independent repair shops so that they will follow under and I'm trying to think of the right wording here, and I apologize. Short answer, yes, we are working on a program like that. How long will it take to come out? I don't have that answer yet. There have been some other ones that have come out, and we have kind of seen what they have done, and we're wanting to make ours a lot more unique and a lot more cost effective, so that we can are able to go after bigger companies or insurance companies or whatnot that have customers that need their devices repaired, but they require certain standards and to where we can have that for independents without them having to join a big franchise or without them having to pay thousands of dollars to be able to get that certification.
Yeah. Right. I'd like to just come in there, Brian, and I might put you on the spot a little bit here. And if it is very early days for this, just say as much. And I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun a bit here, but this is very welcome news to me because I mean, Tim and me have discussed this on here before, but holding ourselves accountable is a huge part of third-party repair. Growing up and leveling up together. Let's say that when you introduce this, you have a membership base of, we'll just say 100 people. We'll just say it's a random number. I have no idea what your membership base. I'm not going to ask you to share it. But let's say you've got 100 people. I understand that to get agreements and contracts in place with larger companies, you need processes to be followed properly. At that point, if you have members and they refuse to follow these processes properly, what would happen then?
They wouldn't be a part of that program. In other words, if let's just say hypothetically, because I mean, I'm sure that these companies would require this. So I'm just going to make this up. Let's just say it's ISO 123. Let's just say that's this standardization, okay? And because a location is ISO 123, then this insurance company or this big company will mail or drop off their devices to this location. If X location refuses or does not want to become ISO 123 or whatever, then they would not be a part of that benefit that we provide our members.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're now, splitting whatever they require into separate subsets within your members.
We would have to do that, yes, because they wouldn't. I mean, they're going to have to be. I would assume that the company is going to require that before they send their device to a location that they follow under those those standards that they have agreed that they that brought them to us. What that looks like right now, I don't have that answer. But it is something new that we are definitely working on.
I might be pie in the sky here a little bit, but I'm imagining some sort of utopia which is totally out of reach for independent repair. But my thoughts are that wouldn't it be nice that an organisation like yours that sounds like you're describing here was to do what you were just describing there and was able to therefore speak directly to parent companies, not just insurance companies, but actual parent companies. So now we're talking about not just the quality level of the actual work, but actually access to OEM parts. And I guess one logistical nightmare for a company, let's just go with Apple, is for them to be able to get to trust that an independent repairer is going to provide a quality service to the public on their behalf to some degree. Is pretty hard. It's a logistical nightmare for them to be able to figure that out, given the amount of lone operators. But if there was some sort of very, I guess it would have to be quite strict and it would have to be policed well, so to speak, that if there was some sort of system in place that and it could easily be communicated to a company like Apple saying, listen, guys, this is independent repair. We have all of these guidelines in place. It matches all of it. It locks in with all of your it dovetails. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, it dovetails nicely with your systems and processes and whatever it is that you require of, say, for example, Apple authorized service providers currently. So that's all in place, and we are policing this, and this is how we're doing this. So if you guys truly are pro repair in a way that it sounds like you're trying to possibly be communicating to the world currently, then you will open up this. There's no excuse, is what I'm saying here. There's no logistical excuse that I said then. And for example, that could be a possibility. Is that something you think you agree with? Am I completely crazy to think such a thing would be possible? What do you think about that?
That would be a good dream. That would be nice.
You sound pessimistic, Brian.
Well, Apple's had the chance in the past. I don't want to speak on their behalf and whatnot. And again, I'm not trying to. They've had that chance in the past, and they haven't done it yet. Do I think it's possible? Yes, I think anything in this world's possible. I do think that if we can come up with something that supersedes their requirements, that shows that we're better, maybe.
I like that.
Maybe.
I like that.
That's a goal,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear someone say that. I think the more people echoing that, I'm all for it. So how about you, Ricky?
Me too. Me too. Definitely, 100%.
That's great. Is there should we shift gears a little bit, or do you want to ask something else there, Ricky? Sorry.
No, nothing else to ask. I mean, is there anything else that you want to tell us about repairs first before we move on into just a couple of random ones, Brian? Or
yeah, sure. Basically, what we're able to provide an independent shop. If let's just say your buying power is only $10,000 a month in parts, and XYZ. I'll just say a franchise or a bigger group, whatever. The discounts that we're able to provide our members is the same as the biggest buying power out there. So, which I think is fantastic. So if you're starting to get into this industry and you want the buying power that the big guys already have, by joining Repairs First for minimal $69 a month, you're going to be able to get the buying power that the big repair shops have that buy a lot. And on top of that, the one-on-one support that we give, that we're offering our 20 years of experience in the industry of how to be successful in this industry. There's nobody else out there like us right now that only asks for $69 a month for basically a business coach for every step of the way, all the way through, and even including credit card processing discounts that are just, especially for Square, for everything that they offer, a 1.96 instead of 2.6 or whatnot. If you only did $20,000 a month, let's just say, in credit card, that's saving you over $1,200 a year, which you get your ROI almost double from what you join the association. So, and again, our own technical support page. There's lots of great questions that go in there every day. And one thing I will say about our technical support page is that people are genuinely wanting to help, and the passion that we have for the industry, we genuinely want to help. We're not doing this obviously for the $69. We're doing this for the industry. So I think it's really important to get that message out there that we're really here for you, and we're not trying to make a bunch of money off of you. How
do you deal with the fact that the market is flooded with so many different devices, and the specific tech issues that can arise from each device, the patterns that we see, I don't know, years ago, 6 Plus, the Touch IC, we've got this iPhone 7 audio IC issues, just the typical things that arise. And by the time some people are sort of just getting their head around the specifics of how to solve that problem, the actual we've moved on because that device is getting so old that it's not something that would be viable to repair anymore as far as margin goes for the customer a lot of the time, it seems. How is that approach, and how are you communicating through the net? Is it a network of people that you've got, and what does that space actually look like, and how does that happen?
So as an example, back glass on the iPhones. It was largely believed that you had to have a laser machine to remove the back glass. We developed a way that you do not have to have a $2,000 laser machine. I say we developed. We didn't develop it. I mean, the way was there. Brad, or one of our guys, Brad, figured it out of how to be able to do this with just a couple of $20 investment. And to be able to remove the back glass. So when we do come across those things, Brad, who is just fantastically technically intelligent, the guy is a genius when it comes to these things. When we come across workarounds or we come across situations like that, then we'll put it together either in a video or in a email and send it out to all the members.
Okay. I imagine that your community itself would be coming up with some of these kinds of ideas. You'd have brilliant tech people within the community that would be sharing their own information as well with you and with the community as large, or is it not work that way?
No, they do. They definitely share back with us.
Yeah.
When they come across I'm going to use the word trick or a easier way to do something, they share it back with us, and then I send it out to the entire system. So it's not just us, and that's one great thing about Repairs First is our members, all of the members really do want to help each other. It's not really in it for themselves. They're in it for the long haul and to be better. So even on this technical support page, there's members that are literally in the same city helping each other. They don't view them as angry competition. Of course, there's a little bit of competition because you're still competing for the same customer, but we're helping each other grow the industry and make everybody better.
Cool. So I guess before we switch gears a little bit, Brian, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or to get in touch with Repairs First about becoming a member?
Great question. Thank you. Our website is www.repairsfirst.org. On there is our phone number, or you can email me at Brian, BRIAN, at repairsfirst.org. In addition to that, you can call me. You can reach me at area code 423-388-6600. But I do encourage everybody to go to the website, read through it, read about us, read about the board members, read about what we're trying to do, and would love to have as many people come on board as possible that really want to help the industry.
Lovely.
There's probably a question I probably should just throw in there is our audience is quite international. We've noticed so far, which is great. I love that. And is your specific audience international? It's clearly something that's aimed at the USA. Is this something though that maybe our members from our audience from around the world could be looking into?
Most definitely. Right now, we're U.S. and Canada. We just recently branched into Canada, and it makes it good because we have a couple of vendors that are also here in the States, so they transfer their discount to the Canadian locations as well. We do have a goal and a vision to go worldwide. If you kind of look at our logo, it says Small Idea Global Plan. It was specifically said like that because we do want to have a presence in the UK and the presence in all across the world. So obviously that's going to come with some challenges as we operate. So we'll have to set that up, as we go along, especially if we get a large desire for something like this in an area that I'm not fluent in the language. So they would have to bring people on board, obviously, to run that area. Ricky, I think you'd be a great guy to help me in the UK there, bud.
We'll have to speak about that. We'll have to speak in another call, Brian. I'm 100% up with that.
So, yeah.
Cool. Should we switch it up a bit then, Tim?
Yeah.
So I guess Australia is one of those places where they're going to need a translator, isn't it?
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh,
I'm
that
joking,
hurts.
Just
Oh
a joke.
no,
I'm sliding
that's
the mood a little bit. I'm just
oh
sliding
that's it. Yeah, I'll let you get away with that one time, mate.
Brian, what is your view on right to repair?
I think everybody out there has the right to repair their device. We should not be limited on having to be forced to take our devices to an OEM to get it repaired or modified. When we bought it, we own it. It's ours. We have that right to do it. If I buy a pair of jeans and want to cut them off at the knees and wear them around with as knickers, that's my choice. I own them. They're mine. Okay. So, whether it be I fix it myself or I take it to an aftermarket, I think that people need to have the choice. Otherwise, it would be considered as a tie-in sale, which there are laws against that here in the U.S. So, my view on it is we're the OEMs are not so much repair friendly. Obviously, they're doing ways to circumvent that. I have my own personal theories and thoughts on that, but I mean it's just an opinion, and we all know how those are. But I understand that everybody's wanting to get a bigger pie or bigger piece of the pie, but no, if you own your device, you have the right. We have the right to do with it as we choose. If I want to buy $1,000 flat screen TV and take a softball and throw it at it and destroy it in a million little pieces, that's my choice. I own it.
Ricky and I spoke a few episodes back now on what the title of that was, the trifecta of hardware and customized software working in tandem with the cloud, which was our discussion about the increasing number of serialized components that can't be replaced by independent repairers without at least bare minimum some sort of notification that can vary from misleading all the way through to completely wrong at sometimes, or just actually cause faults to occur that are in the phone, or should I say just from the functionality of using the device as well. So given that that's the world that we're increasingly living in as independent repairers, is that something that's on your radar, and what are you doing about that? Is there a way that you're trying to future-proof repairs first, or is that something that you, I don't know, just take into account in general as being something that needs to be considered?
Yes. So take into account, yes. OEMs have been doing certain things like this for many, many years. It's nothing new. It didn't just happen in this year. They are we are, well, I'll just say this. There's power in numbers. Okay. And I take it back several years to the home button on the iPhone. You remember that? You replace it and then update it, and then it would seize. What got that to change? Well, there's huge media outcry, right? There was millions and millions of people screaming, saying, "What the heck," right? And then an update comes out, says, "Oh, sorry, we didn't mean to do that. That wasn't our intention." Well, come on, right? So, yes. I think that we need to have, and this is another reason, why we've been on, pretty heavily membership drive. The more members we have, the bigger voice we have. The bigger voice we have, the more things that we can do. But I will also say this, and every time there have been things like that happen in the past, China has come out with a fix. It might take a little while, but they've come out with a fix. So I don't want to solely rely on that, obviously. I would just like for it to be done the right way without us having to go around the back way to make it work. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I think would you agree? It seems that Apple's has shifted a little bit from its position of basically just not making independent repair possible if you were to consider that home button issue you're talking about, where it just flat out stopped the phone from working, bricked the phone more or less, to now it looks to me, at least, again, opinion, but maybe you agree that they're making independent repair just look bad, so it's the not being able to access certain quality levels of parts means that independent repairers, in order to help their customer, might feel that they should be needing to access aftermarket parts which may be inferior quality, or they can't guarantee the quality themselves. They just don't feel like they have access to decent quality parts. And then also just the notifications that are coming up that are telling people to service their battery just simply because the battery's been replaced, when that's clearly not necessary, and anything else in between there. It's just, it seems to be this difference between, okay, we'll just back off a little bit in our strategy instead of just stop independent repair. That just seems a bit too much all of a sudden to think that we're going to try and make that happen. But instead, we're just going to make them look bad, make them look like they're not very good at what they do. And so that's why I like that what you were saying before, is that if some sort of standardization that everyone was to work towards, and be some sort of ISO standardization of some sort. I'm not too familiar with that, to be honest with you, but I do understand enough about that to know what you're talking about. That would be fantastic, especially, and this is the point I'm making, if you were to make it so that it was better than what the parent companies themselves do internally, if it was better. And so then you were left, and I guess I'm going full circle again here, is we're left with just having to solve the problem of getting access to parts. There's just no excuse at that point. I think that's fantastic. I love it. I'm interested to hear more about Repairs First in the future. I think I probably just got sidetracked a bit there. Do you want to ask another question about right to repair and stuff like that, Ricky? You got something on your mind there?
Yeah, I just want to keep the podcast consistent, really. Now, what Brian's just said, and the whole idea of having guests on here is that you get different opinions and you get to talk about it, is relying on China. I am very close technically with what's been going on with the secure enclave and what they've done with the phones. Realistically, as it stands right now, unless there is a security breach with the secure enclave, there isn't a lot China can do about the touch IDs or face ID. So I think software tying in with this in the way that they're using it is kind of, it's not brand new. It's been going on for a few years now, as we discussed before, but it is something that we've got to face the realistic possibility that there is not going to be another solution to this other than using the OEM's authorized tools or following authorized processes to get access to their tools. As of right now, I mean, that may change. Everything that Brian's told us about Repairs First is quite refreshing. So, I mean, as time goes on, we'll see what changes. But I just wanted to, just to keep the podcast consistent, I just wanted to add that. Okay. And Brian, the last one we've got on here is, it's a bit of a wild one, but what is your vision or your prediction for repair? If you can just take off your Repairs First hat just for a moment and just be Brian. You've got a lot of experience in this industry. What is your vision, your prediction for third-party repair for the next 5 years?
We need to band together, grow together, and stand up to the ones that are trying to eliminate third-party repair, first and foremost. Secondly, there's in this industry, it is still going to grow. There's going to be more electronic devices come out. Kind of go back to what you had said. If you took out all the third-party repair, could the authorized locations handle the volume? Well, the answer is no. It's impossible. And even kind of curtailing that onto the recent unfortunate pandemic, many. And I don't have numbers yet. It's too soon. But what I'm seeing on the web and on the internet, people have had their record months in the last 3 months. Some of them say, oh, because Apple closed. Some of them say, oh, because my competitor down the street closed, or they're not doing this, or they're not doing that. I don't know if I quite believe that. I don't think it's just because an Apple location closed in their area that somebody went from $15,000 a month in revenue to $35,000. I don't think that that's what it was. I think that the pandemic also pushed people to realize we need our electronics repaired and we need them fixed. So let's just, back that up for 1 second. Let's just say that there was not a third-party repair company out there. What would have happened during the pandemic when all the Apple locations or whatever shut down? If I was to think about that logically in the same, then people would not have been able to get their devices repaired, and that would have caused more issues. So to go forward now on that, I think that the electronics repair industry, third-party repair industry, is only going to get bigger. I believe that it has been proven, especially during this pandemic, it is sustainable, even through a crisis, even through a tragedy, even through the coronavirus pandemic. It is the words on the tip of my tongue, and I apologize, but I can't. It's not coming out right now. But it's sustainable. Okay, it is. It's not one of those that like daycare that when you have a pandemic, it shuts down. Okay. We grew during this time as repair. So I think that there's going to be more people want to get into the industry. I know of several cities and pockets where there's hardly anybody doing repair. You figure the average household has 4.5 devices per person, or 3.5. I'm sorry, 3.5 per person. So if you got 3 adults in the home, you got 20 devices. Well, just sitting here talking to you on the phone right now, I've got 7 of them in front of me, and that's just in my office, right? So I think that the industry is going to get bigger a lot faster than it's ever going to become smaller. Does that kind of answer what you were asking?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, the point you've just made there is something that Tim and me touched on, I think, last week. Is what would happen to these people if the 87% of independent third party repair, if we weren't available right now, what would happen? You've got to remember, these devices, they're not just something that someone picks up to play Candy Crush anymore. These can be lifelines for people to get in touch with loved ones, to get in touch with medical people. Right now, they're more important than ever, having access to the outside world. And I think that third-party repair has done through this. I don't think we're going to get any thanks at any point, but I think we've done a phenomenal job to keep people online, not just in the USA, but here. It's a similar story here to what you've just said. And from people across the world, across Europe and Australia that I've spoken to, it's all very similar. I'd like to ask you, Brian, have you had any cases over there in the USA of Apple? The Apple stores are obviously shut. Have you had any cases there where Apple have recommended a device owner, be it a MacBook or be it an iPhone, where they've been recommended to go to a third-party repair store, possibly an independent one? Have you seen any of that over there?
Not there. There are a few Apple authorized repair centers that are independent. So I would have to say yes on that one, just because of those. Going to one that is not Apple authorized, I am not aware of that. No. If it happened, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I've seen some of that, and I've heard some of that. Tim's had it he's seen it in Australia. Rico was talking about it. Rico Server was talking about it just the other week, and yeah, it's been happening here up and down the country as well. So it's interesting that they're taking that stance now. I really hope that as we exit COVID and the world returns to some sort of normality, that that they can continue to sort of appreciate us and put their arm around us, rather than treating us like the odd stepbrother that they want to pretend doesn't exist.
What are your thoughts on the independent repair program, Brian?
Okay, so the intention, I think, was okay. I'm not sold on the execution of it. Opinion for whatever it's worth. I think it was a way for them to satisfy certain people, but then the execution. I mean, how many IRPs are out there right now?
exactly.
I don't know of any.
Yeah, that's my point. I think the intent was good, but the execution has failed.
It's a PR exercise.
And it's a time waster to me. It seems to be something it was intentionally put out there to possibly not have anyone pick up, and then I don't know. On the surface, it just looks like, well, it looks like no independent repair store wants to get access to OEM parts. Someone could just see it as that so easily, but it's just obviously not the case. There's obviously something up with the arrangement. I don't know what that would be, but there just seems to be something up there with whatever they're offering. But
so I mean, Brian, you being our first American guest, I mean, I didn't know whether we were going to touch on this now with you on the call, but I'm kind of glad that we have, really. I mean, you're our first USA guest. We haven't got IRP here. We can't even apply for it or anything. The same in Australia, same anywhere else in the world other than the USA. Rather than your opinion, the opinion of people that you speak to, be it Repairs First members or just repair store owners or just technicians, is it just a case of the IRP offering that is on the table, it's just not enough for them? It's too controlling? Is it just they need to do they need Apple just to walk the line back a little bit and give them a bit more from the deal?
I've heard more people talk about cost. Okay. Cost of goods. As an example, about 80% of the repairs that we're doing, most independents are doing, are Apple. Okay. Samsung, maybe 20%. Well, Samsung OEM parts are horribly expensive. There's only a certain amount that the market will bear. And I think that ties back in a little bit to some of the insurance companies. And the wireless carriers have done a really good job at pushing insurance, $150 deductible or $200 deductible or whatever, and you pay an X amount of dollars a month on getting that brand new device out there. So I don't know what the exact numbers are of brand new devices sold through a wireless carrier, how many of them actually have insurance placed on them when they're acquired. But when the cost of the part supersedes an astronomical rate, it makes it unaffordable for the end user to be able to afford that repair unless they have insurance on it. So, it goes back. It's going to have to go back to the cost. And even though in our locations, I mean, we're not seeing really a lot of phones that are 1 and 2 years old. It's phones that are 3, 4, 5 years old. Okay. All the way up now. I think right now we're starting to see a bunch of 10s come in. But even the 6, not the 5s anymore. I mean, the 5s really aren't much out there, but the 6 series, 7, 8, those are still that. But even on the Samsung devices, the older Samsung parts, I just had a conversation just recently with a Samsung distributor and asked them, why are they so expensive? You're making it to where we can't afford to do repairs, and you're going to divert people from buying a Samsung over to buying an Apple. You need to get your cost in line. And we actually just had that conversation, as a matter of fact. Not that conversation is going to go anywhere, but again, it was worth the talk. So with that, if people are Apple authorized and they can only carry the Apple parts, if they have to purchase those Apple parts, their margins are going to be a lot lower than what they are right now.
And then I guess if I were to play devil's advocate, though, it's like, it's like, okay, well, that's what it costs to get a good quality part. That just highlights how the quality of the parts that people that independent repair stores, on scale have access to. And I guess we can't dictate to Apple what they should sell things for, right? They set the price themselves, and that's always going to be a hurdle. Is that the?
Well, I would actually a little bit disagree on the quality. The quality is subjective to opinion.
Okay.
But I also believe that quality is backed by warranty. What is the warranty that you get from an Apple part?
90 days.
90 days.
Some of them not even. Yeah. I think with IRP, I don't even think that you you get any warranty with it, which is ridiculous. But yeah,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Most of the vendors that sell these parts to us, we get a lifetime warranty on it.
and you pass that over to the customer.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Well, most repair shops do. I can't speak for all. We
Yeah, of
encourage
course.
that. We encourage that as a selling point. Hey, do you want the OE screen that you're only going to get a 90-day warranty on if it flickers or goes bad, or I can put this aftermarket part on here and you're going to get a lifetime warranty as long as you own the device. I even kind of relate that back even to automotive. If an alternator goes out on your vehicle, you can go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone or whatever and get one for a lifetime warranty for, a lot less than if you went to the OEM and get one that had a 12-month warranty, right?
Mm.
So I think if we look at quality as to how it is backed up by the manufacturer, I would argue that aftermarket has a better quality than OE. Now there are different grades of aftermarket, yes. Okay, there are different grades, but they're not OE.
Interesting.
What would you? What's your opinion on that? I mean, if you're looking at somebody for quality, is it just because of the name, or is it the warranty that backs it up?
It's neither. Sorry, Ricky, you can take this. You go for it.
Yeah. So quality for me, it's more. I focus more on. I'm technically minded, so I focus more on the quality of part used. And if you look at the screen adhesive that you put under the screen on the frame, the manufacturer puts it there for a reason, whether it's a water seal to keep the water out, whether it's there to help the 3D touch, whether it's there just to support the screen for small impacts. It's quite important. So for me, it's important that the quality of part is as close to OEM as possible. But the idea of the warranty being lifetime, if my supplier was giving me lifetime warranty, would I pass that on to my customer? I guess I probably would, and that's a separate side of the end-to-end service that I probably don't factor in like other shops do. Maybe that's maybe it's just my market. But yeah, it's interesting. That's an interesting angle. Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should we call it a day there, Ricky? That was a really enjoyable discussion. What do you think?
Yes, that's good, Brian. Listen, thank you very much for giving us the time and coming on to talk to us. It was really good to talk.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure. I enjoy speaking with you, gentlemen.
Excellent. So, Tim, until next week. Take care, mate.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Ricky. See ya.
Be well, guys.